Okay, we'll call the meeting to order here. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2026. This is the regular quarterly meeting of the Nevada Board of Agriculture held at the Nevada State Fairgrounds in Reno. And our first item is Pledge of Allegiance. If you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to virtual attendee reminders. Juliana.
Thank you, Chair Snyder. All attendees joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams have been muted upon entry. Please keep your microphone on mute and use the raise hand feature until you are called upon to speak. To raise or lower your hand, click the raise hand icon and you will be called upon in order. Once called upon, locate the microphone icon in the meeting controls and toggle it to unmute yourself. If you are joining by phone, press *5 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself when called upon. Again, that's *5 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. And also a general reminder about microphones in the boardrooms, including this room. Please ensure that you speak clearly and loudly to ensure that microphones capture everything you are saying. And most importantly, please ensure that only one person is speaking at a time. When the microphone hears multiple voices at once, it interprets it as background noise and can mute the audio. So it's critical that everybody just wait their turn, finish, let the person preceding you finish their remarks, and then you can begin. That concludes virtual attendee reminders.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do roll call, beginning with Reno attendees. Are there any in the? I see. Oh, that's helpful. Okay. So let us start over here on the right. Brooke.
Brooke Neubauer, supplemental nutrition.
Marlon Higby, private public grading. Pete Ferris,
Dave Groves, Jill Ack. David Ross. Shane Miller.
Debbie Gilmore, specialty press.
Tom Baker's semi-range, livestock production.
Jim Snyder, Land County Row Crops.
Usually go get you a director. Doug Ferris, deputy director.
Juliana Hendricks, executive assistant.
Kathy Balkin, administrator of Administrative Services Division.
Chad Sustanovich, Administrator, Animal Industry.
Pete Rolfe, State Veterinarian.
Bob Rager, Deputy Administrator, Animal Industry.
Patricia Hoppy, Administrator, Division of Food and Nutrition.
Bill Strajewski, Administrator, Measurement Standards. Ray Saliga, Deputy Administrator, Division of Land Health and Compliance. Blaine Berkeley, Industry and Global Trade Coordinator of the Division of Administrative Services.
Melody Brown, IT.
Very good. Las Vegas.
You're muted, Dave.
Still not hearing you, Dave.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Thank you.
Dave Kuhn, area industry.
Okay, is that everybody?
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Jimmy? I'm sorry, can you speak up there?
Jimmy Stevenson, Pest Control.
Great, thank you. You have somebody there on the right? Okay. So we've got everybody?
Yes.
Very good, we'll move to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
And I will also note that the Nevada Department of Agriculture received no public comment in advance of this June 11th meeting in relation to this June 11th meeting.
Good, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. I will entertain a motion when you're ready to approve the minutes of the March 19th. I'll approve the minutes as presented. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, minutes are approved. Board member updates. Kirk, do you have
Great. I just want to say I love so much that I get to sit on this supplemental nutrition seat because I spend my career fighting food insecurity. So I feel like I love updating people on the current statistics of what our clients are experiencing that receive the TPAP food, which the FDA administers. 15.1% of Nevadans experience food insecurity. Nevada remains above the national average, which is 15.3%. Nearly 1 in 4 children are food insecure. In the summertime, as you guys know, is really crucial for kids accessing food because the summertime they don't get to go to school and get that meal. So programs like the summer food service program, it's such a pivotal save for families. So super excited to see that sharing that with. In some rural counties, including Nye, Mineral, and Esmeralda, insecurity approaches 20%. Access plays a key part in that higher number. There's a term that we use in the nonprofit sector called the missing middle. And those are folks that are working, but they're just making a little too much to be eligible for SNAP benefits. And that plays into 38% of those that are food insecure. Grocery prices continue to rise with the consumer price index showing 2.9% year over year. And many of the people that are receiving these TPAP food, their income is not increasing with the cost of groceries. From my work and experience fighting food insecurity over the last 11 years, I've learned that hunger is not just a supply issue, it's a systems issue. And Nevada needs both an abundant supply of food and the most effective distribution network possible. And the TPAP food is truly a lifeline. The CSFP program continues to be a lifeline for our seniors, and the summer food program continues to be a lifeline for these families. So thank everybody behind the scenes that I don't get to meet all the time that do work on these programs because they are a crucial lifeline to our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Gordon.
Yeah, so we've had some earlier storms that are driving the feed or feed to livestock. Probably will be pretty good shape with flowers and everything coming to stay cool enough that things aren't burning up yet. But by the end of June into the 1st of July, it's probably going to get really hot and dry. Just read an article that came out of one of the papers in Las Vegas that by the end of June to the 1st of July, the Hoover Dam is going to be to a point where it's producing zero power. We're going to be down to what they call dead pool. If that happens, like Lincoln County and some of the counties in southern Nevada that depend on the dam, their power is probably going to double. And that'll impact the hay growers. When that impacts the hay growers, that impacts everybody. Because either the price of hay goes up or the hay grower goes through. That's where you're at. And with as dry as it is the livestock industry shouldn't have to buy hay. And so, I don't know where this ends. I think, I don't know where, yeah, I don't know whether the state needs to step in and take a real hard look at its natural resource industries, its livestock, its whoever uses the water, the power that comes off the dam, and start looking at some alternative sources of energy. I don't know what the answers are, but it needs to be a topic of discussion at higher levels and what we're.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna start with positive. Land prices are almost half a cow price per pound. But compared to the last couple of years, that's a big improvement. And another thing that we're rumbling, we'll ever find producers to do it at the time. Something called cheap permits. USDA and Interior, they're doing it for cattle foals. There's a lot more big sheep farms in the country than there are cattle farms. Anyway, so hopefully if there was some young people, I didn't say crazy enough to get in, I was crazy enough. I don't know. So, anyway, that's a positive part, but the drought has definitely kicked a lot of people, but a lot of polluters, 100% water quality. Elko County, I think, is at the White Pine County, and usually we're better than White Pine County, and right now, Elko County is the roughest place that I've seen. Others still continue to be they never stop you. The labor situation is unreal. I just had a phone call this morning from a relative. Bought a brand new sheeper from Mexico. Was here for a month and a half. Said, "Oh my God, this is terrible." Didn't run away. They're kind of scared to run away now. He walked off, come to the ranch, and said, and you can't find. I've been trying to bring livestock worker for myself. I have one. He's talking about retiring, and he's can't replace it. He tells me that he has property through the years put together, and he tries to hire people. So here, he can't let someone take care of a little bit that he has. So to me, that's a huge problem. Sheep industry cannot operate without labor. The sheep industry is definitely dependent on labor. They don't have an alternate operator. So with that, yes.
Yeah, so it was great to be here at the state fair, Nevada. 15 years. Congratulations. We had last time we reported we were going to have our open house on our farm. We had over 100 agriculture. Some of the concerns you have, of course, these new rules. Last time it hit Texas was 1976. The economic impact to the state of 1.8 billion. So it's nothing to take lightly. Of course, we're concerned about the dryness of the state. BLM grazing and regulation has been updated since 1995. It's easier for us to, it's supposed to make it easier for us to respond to the change. Quicker. Session today at 9:07.
Safely. 10 seconds. Okay, now I can hear. Morgan stays, here. See if there's getting ready for in case the beetle does arrive here that we have some sort of funds to spread. So, that's neat. And, so, yeah. Gilbert's asking. See this. See green plates. Trade the streets. Well, those are the issues that we're looking at.
Thank you. Make a little report on Churchill County since I mean, you can still Pretty Kaylee's in the pit. Corn is in the ground and growing. First crop hay is some's in the stacks, some's laid on the ground. First crop is well on its way. Water situation, we've been blessed to have storage in Lahontan, so we're still at 100%. But we don't get some water this year. It's not going to be quite secure next year. The farmers, because we are still on track 100%, we're putting in alfalfa. Getting some of those crops need to get established pretty well, and hopefully we'll do that. Use the next 8 years. Hopefully those crops will maintained. On the 7th of May, I attended a board of directors meeting for the update on the student acceptances, Nevada students that are accepted for the 2026 fall program at Utah State University Veterinary School. 17 offers were sent out, 15 accepted, and 2 declined because obviously they were accepted at other programs. But 3 additional Nevada students who were on the wait list were invited. And as of that meeting 3 weeks ago, they didn't have a report on whether they accepted, but 15 for sure, maybe 3 others as well. So that's a remarkable amount. Of course, we're making up for last year when there were only 2. As we meet today, the Nevada Board of Regents is meeting, and I believe Dr. Gomachia's father is involved in that board meeting. It's today and tomorrow. On the agenda is possible vote to begin the accreditation process and search for a dean for the College of Veterinary Medicine. Which that approval would have to be made today. Just a comment, the Board of Regents were shown a video promo program. It was interesting that there was no mention of Utah State University program that Nevada bought into, funding $8 million for the next 10 years. There's no mention of that. There's no mention that Roseman University, which is a private university, should be receiving accreditation starting their program in 2029. So there's going to be a lot of competition for students. Again, we're still involved in Utah State's program, Roseman's program. I was just surprised that there was no mention of Board of Regents. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade here, but and I hope we get a school. We ultimately we need it. But we'll see what happens, and hopefully maybe we can get a little inside track from Dr. Lucia's dad if it's something that we don't do that. So that's my report. Very good. Thanks. Debbie.
Debbie Gilmore, representing Scheduling Crops. It's really short, but it seems like beekeepers doing really well this year. Lots of bees. This year. We have a lot of lavender producers in our valley now. And it's pretty water. I understand that drier the plant gets, the more nectar that is produced in that plant. So it's also a great. So we had an early spring, and then we had a couple of really severe freezes. So some of the lavender plants are struggling because they had already started their blossoming, and the freeze pretty much wiped that out. So it's a little bit of an issue there. But as far as bee stuff, it was awesome. It's better issues and all of that. So
Tom Baker's semi-livestock production. I'll start by reassuring Pete. On the way over here, I heard about a sheep permit that was potentially for sale, and there were a couple young guys excited, trying to figure out how to do it. So they're still crazy people. So the drought is a big issue for us on our part of the state. We haven't gotten rains. Changes look horrible. We're short on mountain water for the meadows and the summer break. And then real phosphate logging. So we're grateful for that. Feeder hay in our part of the area, it seems to be pretty short. That's good for the hay producers. Great for the livestock. Like I had mentioned, the BLM owners regulations. I think the cattlemen at the Farm Bureau are working on going through those and creating comments. And I think they'd like people to look and give their input. And they're also coming up with papers that will help other producers make good comments and get some good in July. Anyway, if anybody has an opinion, reach out to the organization. Help everybody work through them. That's about all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Mackenzie?
Yes, thank you. I will start with the positive that, excited that we are here. Thank you, NDA, for bringing us all together. As for my petroleum report, everyone sees the rising costs at the pump, and that has to do mainly with the rising tensions across the globe. While supply is good in the US, tensions not resolving across the world is kind of impacting our supply and demand. So right now, the US is happy. We don't know how long this is going to go on, so that's kind of affecting what we're depending on. As for Nevada, we continue to be supply dependent on California, and we had another refinery closure as of April in Valero, which was at Valero at Alicia, which is impacting our supply. We're still sitting pretty in Nevada, so we're not scared. There's just infrastructure to be had. So one thing you're going to hear from John Reedy is that we are working on this. The governor has put the Nevada Fuel Resiliency Committee or task force in place, and we have all the major refiners doing some research to kind of combat this. But this is going to be a long-term project, work in progress. We are seeing things come online like a rail facility right outside of Reno at Trick that is helping with supply. So that's already kind of combated the normal supply restrictions we see in the summer come into Kinder Morgan. Has helped some of that supply go through there instead. So again, supply is pretty, pricing is not great, but we're working on it to twist it in a positive note. Right now, the market is in backwardation. So as we look at 12 months out, pricing is lower 12 months from how it is today. So we remain hopeful and we're working together and we appreciate everyone's support.
Very good, thank you.
I see the price of fuel has dropped close to $1 in the county. Is that general?
Yeah, so the big thing that's going on in Elko, the west part of the state, is there's extra supply coming on in Salt Lake, which is putting more product into that market. There is a huge discrepancy. So we have product coming out of California into the Nevada market. It's tighter, and there's less supply there, so the price is higher, where Utah has an excess into the market and also into Las Vegas because of the new pipeline.
I was just wondering if it was general, because I just in the last week, it seemed like close to 80 cents.
Yeah, it's good.
That's a lot.
She'll let me know that.
Thank you.
Okay, Lyon County, a lot of it sounds the same as Churchill County. Our water is not quite as good, less than 100% is survivable. Hay, first cutting is pretty well done, and then the staff were gone. The row crops, the seedling crops, especially the carrots, onions, and other crops, did suffer from those severe frosts as well as wind. We have some crop loss in quite a few fields. Not, again, survivable, but not what we'd like to see. Something we fight every year, though. And what else? Hay market for producers looks a little better. Livestock owners looks a little tougher. All I have, I think.
We had frost yesterday morning again.
7 degrees. We didn't quite have that. Yeah.
It blow you off the highway here yesterday again.
Okay, moving on, to the director's report, okay?
We got a couple more board guys
Oh,
on
I'm
there,
sorry.
please.
I'm sorry, yes. Dave, Dave Coons. Dave, I think you're muted again. We're not hearing you, Dave. Still not hearing you. Oh,
There you go.
there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm sorry that we're spending all the time and taking up your time in the meeting. First of all, I wish I was there. That's a very dramatic setting in the background there. And I could probably hear what's going on a little better than what I am right now. I'm not hearing a lot, but I know that we're at the time where we're reporting things within the industry. And I suggest I forego that right now because of the transmission issues. I don't even know if you're hearing me now or not, but I hear bits and pieces of the meeting. So, Doctor, thanks for acknowledging you can hear. So I will just simply say that what I was going to report on is the ongoing demand for protein recognition in dairy products. And it's stimulating sales a little bit and generating some success in our industry. And we know that there'll be additional marketing and advertising promoting protein in milk. And all the members of the industry will benefit from that. The Department of Agriculture continues to be very helpful to the consumers, the members of the industry, and to the state of Nevada. So thank you, and it's good to be a part of that. And again, I apologize for the transmission issues. I wish I was more savvy technologically. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Jimmy?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I like Dave, wish I was there. That looks pretty cool behind you. You guys will have some fun up there. Dave, by the way, my coffee this morning from Starbucks has protein milk in it. Anyways, Jimmy Stevenson, representing pest control industry. It's in our busy season now. Weather's been a little bit off and on, but everyone's pretty busy. We're dealing with the no-see-ums and mosquitoes again. But it's just a yearly battle that we learn new things every year. But overall, the industry is doing great and just ticking along.
Very good, thank you. I'm envious of you that you can see what's going on behind us. We can't see it.
Oh, you guys can't see that back there?
We have to turn our back to you.
Oh, gotcha. One thing I will leave this with, go Knights go.
Get a bar. Jimmy, straight ahead of us is a bar, so we're trying to accelerate this meeting.
I hear you.
Okay, is that it for board member reports? Thank you all. JJ.
All right, Director Chia for the record. You guys have my report. I'm going to read it as I have it in the past. I'll touch on a few things that some of you guys brought up in your industry updates. Before I get into that, I do have one internal announcement to make. Effective Monday, so 4 days ago, I'm pleased to announce that we've named Ray Saliga as the interim administrator for plant health and compliance. Our administrator, Megan Brown, took a position with the federal government in Utah, and we wish her well in that. But we are very fortunate to have Ray, and so we have named him that interim administrator, and we'll be working through that process to open the administrator position, and then depending on what that does, we may end up with a vacancy in our deputy administrator. So we'll see how that works out. So that's my first announcement. And on to some updates. So grazing comments, a couple of you guys mentioned that. Yeah, that July 13th, I did attend that roundtable a couple weeks ago, I guess, on feed in Winnemucca. That was there. Listened to some industry folks. Didn't get a lot out of that from them, but we are going through those. Here they are. If anybody wants some light reading, I carry them with me, making notes on them. The industry will receive advanced thoughts from me, whether they want to use them or not. Plugged in with Martin at Calvin, obviously, and his team at Farm Bureau. continuing to work closely with Public Lands Council as well, on those grazing rates. Good, bad, or indifferent. There's not a lot of changes in these from what we proposed in the first Trump administration. And I authored those in the first Trump administration. So I kind of know them. So we're ready to dig in. There's a few little changes that could have significant impact. So I'm still trying to make sure I understand fully what Brenda Youngkin and Karen Buck-Fallon are intending there. But I know the heart's in the right place. So make sure we don't step into something unintentional as we see change in those agencies. Dr. Shank, for you and related to veterinary medicine, I do want to note that I met with Roseman 3 years ago and did provide them a letter of support from this agency for that. Obviously, I've been very supportive of the Utah State Initiative, and I have been working with the University of Nevada on trying to get that off the ground. I'm with you. We need veterinarians. We need them now more than ever. And there will be some competition. Competition is good. So hopefully we'll see what that board does today. In talking to some of the members of that board of regents, they are supportive of it. It's all going to come down to money, like it always does, and funding that. And we know that's cheap. It's stretch the imagination. There is some infrastructure here in Western Nevada and Reno that could help with that. So we're waiting, as everybody, to see what that board of regents decide to do there. But I didn't want the opportunity to go by without stating on the record that we have been supportive of Roseman. We will be supportive of the university if the administration so wishes, and then obviously are supportive of Utah State. You guys were talking about water. Our friends in Pershing County only wish they were as fortunate. 1/4 foot, right, Chad? 3 inches is what Lovelock was allocated water. So that is different soil. Chad can speak to it for his time there in Lovelock. I have had some conversations with those guys. They had some winter wheat in. They didn't have to put water on. They got some timely rains, and that soil holds out water well. Those guys are in big trouble. That Humboldt didn't run. They can't run when it doesn't run at the top. And when producers on the Rubies are hauling water, the end of that creek should get pretty dry. So, Varda, we hear you. We're looking at all options when it comes to energy. When it comes to fuel, I'll touch on that in a minute. And when it comes to that water use, let's see what this next legislative session does. We're going to have to get more creative and protect our agricultural water. Trade water and make some moves with California to leave more water in that rather than just leaving it downstream. Very, very well aware of that. We don't see a lot of ag use, obviously, off of the Colorado, so we're going to see. But you're right when it comes to that power generation and what we're going to see. Not only you guys there in the valley, on the other side as well. It's going to happen. So we're watching that closely. Pete, you mentioned vacant allotments. I was fortunate enough to attend the roundtable with Secretary Burgum, Governor of the livestock industry this spring down there in Las Vegas. I know Burgum was at an earlier one in that day as well with the Secretary. I am continuing to engage with BLM. I did receive a letter last week. State office BLM. They laid out some vacant allotments. A lot of those allotments that we're looking at are not actually, believe it or not, on this side of the state. More than we realized. Mountain District has quite a few vacant allotments. Forest Service has not given us their allotments yet, or really what their plan is. They continue to come. We're working on it. We're going to get there. We've heard they started, and they're just kind of down a little bit at USD on that. Secretary Burgum is committed to getting these vacant allotments in production, and so we're doing everything we can to assist with that. That is going to include lobbying them in Washington, D.C. to fill some of the staffing. That is the number one thing we're seeing on why these aren't being filled. These district offices. Retirements through attrition through a hiring freeze, haven't been able to put enough staff on. And so they have to do some baseline monitoring of these vacant allotments. They've got to go out and do a year or two to make sure we can fill them. A couple of them are a lot closer than others. So we will continue to keep our foot on the throttle with the state BLM. And I will tell you, I would imagine we'll see some on this western side filled before we see some on the other side, just because Carson District is a little better staffed right now. Or Ely when it comes to getting the data they need. So we don't I don't have the exact number, but off the top of my head, I believe they gave me 11 allotments. Moving around. Months, but it could be a year on a couple of those before we get them built. But we're working on it. One other thing we did 2 weeks ago, I guess now, we did attend a small business administration hearing in Elko. They called that hearing, and it was on equine health, predominantly wild horse health, not equine health like we would think, production horse wise, and what the economic impacts are to Nevada. Again, going back to not only vacant allotments, but allotments with suspended AUMs on them. Allotments where they're not even suspended, guys are taking non-use because of some of the impacts we're seeing. Interior and BLM, we're hearing that they have a plan. They will be submitting it, releasing it very soon to try to get these numbers back to AML. Again, low AML in some of these areas. We get really close, and then we take our eye off the ball. We double our population in 4 years, and we're right back where we started. You guys talked about this hay. It was something that came up at that hearing in Elko. We're all going to have to buy hay as producers, and that's the industry, but we're competing double against large horse populations on the range at times. You can't go out because you got horses. They gather the horses, they put them in holding. They come with the checkbook and they buy the green hay that goes to feed the horses. And that drives that market up. I mean, we've got some large holding facilities in the state of Nevada. We've got Indian Lakes, we've got Paradise, we've got Palomino Valley. Just over the border into Utah, we've got large ones as well that do have an economic impact. They help the hay producers out, but that is a negative side when it comes to the livestock. So we will continue to engage with the Small Business Administration as they prepare their report to us on the impacts that our program is having to livestock. Dave, we are continuing to work with Oregon. We're obviously very concerned with that Japanese beetle. I'm working with Ray and Haley on that. We are committed, and you are correct that we'll watch it in the next legislative session. I'm very proud of what Ray's division has done over the last 2 years, and what we were able to do in the last session of guiding that budget and getting those fees increased. We're solid, and we haven't always been able to say we're solid and plan. We were in trouble. We were doing letters of instruction all the time on how we're going to make that budget work. Captain was getting tired of doing them. The assessor was as well. So thankfully, we've got some revenue coming in now, to do some of this stuff and serve the industry. We had to bite that bullet and put our hat in our hand and go down there and explain to the legislature what was the right thing to do to get that done. I'll segue real quick to this, and then I'll rest for questions. State Fair in Nevada. I want you guys to give Juliana and Sierra and Monica a huge round of applause. The level of pressure that we put on those three young ladies to pull this off and to get this done is unreal. And we know it's unreal. There was zero funds. They gave us the state fairgrounds. They said, let's go forward with the state fair. They didn't give us any money. These guys did fundraising, it's sponsorship, it's blood, sweat, and tears. And we wouldn't be here with that behind us if it wasn't for those three. So I want to acknowledge them and say thank you. So, they're going to help us set this up. They're going to be taking tickets. They're going to be helping show people where to park. They'll be tossing Doug and I out of the dock bar later when we get rowdy. So we had to put that little chair in over there for we can get out of here. We're very excited about the work that's going on here. Guys, this is a small state fair. It is. We want to start small, but we want something for everybody. Sierra had interviews set up first thing this morning, 5 o'clock this morning. Her and I are here at Channel 2 and Channel 8. getting that news out there, talking about what a state fair actually is, talking about 4-H, FFA, Grange, independent kids. You heard Matt when we started here, giving those kids their instructions. In fact, Junior Livestock Show brought that back here to the fair. We all made an adjustment. It's just huge. That's what it's all about. I know that's what it's about. Doug and I talk about it all the time, and I'm really proud of what I see for animals out there. I'm really excited Saturday afternoon that we're going to have that governor's sale of champions. The top 5 in every class will sell first. The governor will be here to help with that. He is committed. This morning, I don't know if any of you get the press releases, but that is Ag Heritage Month by proclamation from the governor. And he's June, excuse me, is Ag Heritage Month. So in the state of Nevada, he issued a proclamation. And that's big. He's a huge supporter of this industry. He's a huge supporter of what we're doing. And so really excited about that. We put $6 million in the ground, literally in the ground, on this property already this year, water, sewer, and stormwater. As we were getting towards the end of that, Bob and Doug and I attend regular meetings with those. It became very apparent that you can put stormwater and you get all the drains in, but if the slope is wrong and the asphalt has cracks in it and the concrete doesn't flow and the valley gutters don't go where they're supposed to, it doesn't do a lot of good. And so when we did have some big rain events, we realized the water wasn't going to the stormwater, it was going through cracks. If you guys came in the north lot, quite frankly, it looks like crack. We know it does. It's cracked. It's old. That asphalt looks bad. We were fortunate enough to find some money that we know we can spend before the end of October. And I'm proud to say that through our partnership with Nevada Western Heritage Center Alliance, we've got an additional $10.5 million to go for this property. We will start July 1. The next time you guys see that after next fall, it's all going to be new blacktop. It's all going to be new concrete, curb and gutter, ADA compliant. Outside, we've got sidewalks. We've got a handicap ramp on one end and a drop off on the other. I just don't know how they were getting by with it for so long. We're going to fix that. And when you drive by, I want this board and I want the industry to be proud. Yeah. So we're committed to that. We're going to have our farmers market out here Friday and Saturday. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Glenn, if you want to add to that here in a little bit. But we've got something for everybody. Julianne and Sierra and Monica put an art show at the other end. You see a mural going in on the wall directly behind me down there as well. We got an artist painting that. We all Friday night, just for Pete, because he loves them so much, we're having a tasting for the pecan punch. So Brett, send your brother down. You go home. You send your Mark down. We'll have a good time over there.
He drinks his share and mine.
So that's going to be Friday night. We're going to have 5 of the top pecan makers who are self-proclaimed best of the best. They won't let me make them. They said I got a judge for some reason. I guess I got that. But we're looking forward to that. We got a smoke show from Traeger. Some of those guys are going to. We've got some guys who are going to compete. Best barbecue and smoke as well. So that's going on. We've got the carnival. We're trying to actually make it a true state fair. Bring it back. I will stand up a committee to do this in the future going forward. It will not be the agency. Obviously, we're going to be a key part of that. Statute says, director says when and where. It will be here. Unless there's extenuating circumstances, I will continue to work on that date. We did sign an agreement with Reno Rodeo Association for the next 14 months that they will manage this facility. We're out of RSCBA, so they are assisting us. Doug was voluntold that he would serve on that committee, and I thank him greatly. And I will continue to thank him over the next 13 and a half months as he reminds me that I put him on that committee. But we're in good hands with Doug representing the agency on that. They've put a committee together, Nevada State Fairgrounds Committee. We're booking events. We're trying to bring a lot of ag-centric events back. But one of the other important things I want to touch on, we are a mass evacuation center for Northern Nevada. And this property will continue to do that. If we have to house people, if we have to feed people, we're going to do it here. Obviously, if we have to house large animals, we do that now. Fire, flood, earthquake, whatever the case is, we're working with Washoe County on their emergency management to make sure they know it's here and it's available, and it will continue to be available for that use when the time comes up. So with that, I'll stop for questions. You guys might have some questions as you read through my report. I know there's some things I probably didn't touch on, but questions, I'll answer them now. And then on, I'd ask the chair if we go to animal industry, because that 10.5 million I talked about, they're going to open bids this morning. And the best engineer in the agency, Mr. Bob Rager, who's the only engineer, is going to go down there and help them with that bid open. So I'd like them to go.
Okay, any questions for JP?
I have one question, semi-comment. We were together at the meeting in Winnemucca the other day with a lot of discussion about lack of people. That brought back to my head last summer, the Elko BLM office hired 4 range constables. There was only one. Basically, I think every industry in the world, all the way to the BLM, has the same thing we got treated. They cannot find employees. So I just wondering how, we can't fix our problem. How you gonna fix the problem? It's his problem.
All right, I got it. Just kidding.
In there, didn't you?
Well, Pete, I'll take that insult.
I said government. State, federal, which one?
We're gonna have to work with our delegation, obviously, on that, work with Congress, and they've got to make some changes there, and it's the same thing here. We have a hard time retaining people at times as well. We'll train people, and they'll go to local government, or they'll go to the private sector, for pay, for quality of life, for time off, whatever that is. But they're gonna have to make some adjustments there. And this new generation coming out, this is not negative, but their work ethic is different, and their work-life balance is different. And we have to work with them on that. We can't make that round peg fit the square hole. We're gonna continue to have this conversation. We've got to figure out ways to bring that next generation in, make them excited, whether it's to be the range con and give them that work-life balance, or if it's to be an inspector in Ray's shop or a Bill's shop, and to provide, enough money that they can make a living, and yet they're happy to do. And so that's I think what we're gonna have, that we're gonna see happen over the next couple of sessions in Congress, and probably in Carson City as well, because we have the same problem here. We actually went to the Board of Examiners this week and got critical hire authority for our ag police officers. We can't keep them either. And so you mentioned New World Screwworm and all that. Pete talked about that, Dr. Pete. But we've got 5 ag enforcement officers and no bug stations in the state. Those guys have to stop trucks bringing things in and look at them. I've got 5. 2 of them are vacant. I've got 3. And we can't get those positions filled, and we can't keep them filled, because they don't want to work for us for pennies when they can work for dimes and quarters at the county, or they go to the private sector and do something else. So with critical fill, we can bring some guys back that have already retired. They can keep their PERS retirement going, and they can get the paycheck out of us. We're trying to fill that gap, because I'm scared to death of what we see coming down.
Other questions or comments? Yes.
The 6 million put in the ground with it.
That was ARPA money that came through DCNR for water infrastructure in particular. So part of that was, we took a lot of asbestos pipe out of there. And so environmental wise, that was the right thing to do. I think it was safe to say it was a leaky system, wouldn't you? As we started putting some main line in and charged it, we flooded the livestock pavilion through the toilets. And it was because they flushed the water. And so the sinks in the toilets were running. Well, the sewer pipe is some of that old clay pipe, we've all seen it, and it went to leaking. And so we created a pretty big cesspool here in the Terrell too. But that's where that money came from.
Did you guys manage this year round?
Yes, so this is Department of Ag Property year round, Reno Rodeo. Again, for the next 14 months is an agreement with us to do the day-to-day management. They manage the employees that are on site. They book the events. But this is your venue. This is the Nevada State Fairgrounds. Owned and controlled by the Department of Agriculture. We've got how many events we have booked right now that you can think of for the next 12? 28. Wow. 30. Yeah. And more pending, right? We did talk to a large venue in southern Nevada last week, and that they've got some events, equine-centric events, that they would like to push to us, that they don't want to do down there. Rodeos outside. So tomorrow night's Next Generation Bull Riding will be in the outdoor arena as well. So that outdoor arena holds about 10,000 spectators. This one holds 3. And we know we need some work out there. The water and sewer that we put in, part of that is there's no indoor plumbing in the Reno Rodeo grounds. It's all blue ring, all sandy has been for years. Well, the only way we're going to ever build new grandstands and build an exhibit hall with actual plumbing in it is put pipe in the ground, and we'll build above it. And so we'll continue to work with our private partners on that, try to secure some additional private funding. Not only is he the best engineer in the agency, he's also the best at understanding CIP capital improvement projects. So Bob is putting a lot of that paperwork together as well as we try to bring this state property back to what it needs to be. I will tell you that it's the most heavily visited state property in the state, this one, just because of the events it has in its own kind of state.
The banner hall sponsors on it. That's
the work that these girls did. Sir.
What kind of money?
$150,000. Through monetary and kind. They worked their tails off on it, and they still are. Stop by 10 o'clock at night, we'll still be here. We'll see you at 5 in the morning here. No, we'll be down there. I don't know, if JP fires us up, we might be here.
Very good. Thank you, JJ, and congratulations, you and your staff. Great job. Okay, we'll move to animal industry.
All right. For the record, Chad Sustanovich, Administrator, Animal Industry. Bob does have to leave. He's heading right now, but I do want to thank you for everything he's doing for not only animal industry, but everything else for Department of Ag, all our other programs as well. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spend it wisely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to get any more.
Find us low one.
Okay, I'll keep this short. I'll go quick through this. I know you guys have the notes, like I've said every time. I'll touch on a couple programs. I know you guys probably have some questions with veterinary services. Pete's here, so he could probably answer. He's going to answer most of those. I know there's going to be some questions. Food safety. I'm going to touch on a few things because when they transferred over and they're settling in really well, it was a learning experience for all of us. It's helped out tremendously with our meat and poultry inspection program. They fit right in. They've had lots of advice for them, and it's just fit together. With the transition, we've gone with some interlocal agreements with Nevada Health Authority. They were short-staffed. Our staff has really stepped in, help them with non-food inspections, and have continued. We're going to work on some new interlocals. We're also, Central Nevada Health is short-staffed, like you're talking, everybody's short-staffed. We've stepped up with our food safety team. We're going through a new interlocal, and we're going to help them with their inspection throughout the central part of the state. One thing on vet services, our restricted list for trick positive herds is very low right now. We've got a lot of people tested, compliant, just a very few small handful on there. And we will, now that 571 is implemented, we have a little more strength in the game. So we will continue with that. With that, if you guys have any questions for Peter or I. Yep.
Where are we at? What are the real worries?
So I think the take-home, I just got back from a meeting, which is the Western States Livestock Health Association. So that's myself and my other state animal health officials for the Western region. So that was kind of timely that this all came down while we were all together, because we want to put our heads together on the best plan. I will tell you that things will change as this is going to progress. Interesting facts that have come out, because I get a little more inside track from the Texas Animal Health Commission, state vet there, and even Dr. Hollick down in New Mexico, being good friends with them, of what's going on. It's going to progress the thing I found interesting is they have not trapped any wild flies, and they've been trapping for months in Texas. So these cases in Texas most likely indicate that we have a breeding population down there of flies. It wasn't animal movements. Okay, so it's here. That's the bottom line. New Mexico is a little bit different. They're still trying to work that one out. The way we're moving forward, it seems like I haven't done much about it because right now, when you look at the way this disease operates, right, it's not an infectious virus or bacteria spread airborne, nose-to-nose contact, right? It's a pest. It's an infestation. So there is a risk that these flies can show up in Nevada. Climate plays a big role in that. So looking back historically, Nevada didn't have a huge problem previously when it was in the United States. Okay, yeah, Southern Nevada to some degree. But a big focus for us state veterinarians in the West is continuity of business, given how this disease works, right? Meaning cost to risk benefit of, do we shut everything down? Is it necessary? The consensus right now is we follow the playbook, which has been put out by the USDA with our input as state animal health officials, to what is safe movements of animals from states that are infected. I have full confidence in Texas Animal Health and Dr. Hollick at New Mexico Department of Ag in how they're going to handle. We're following that playbook. If animals need to move out of areas that are currently infested, how we handle those. They will all be permitted through my office. Nothing will come that is high risk without the proper inspection protocol and most likely preventative treatment, okay, which we're kind of bouncing around how it's going to happen. So the structure's there. Do I think Nevada's going to have to make some changes for imports? Some point. But this thing's fluid. It's going to change rapidly. We're not even close to done with this. It's going to be years of battle because if it does establish itself as it has and expands in our southern states, the only way to get rid of it is how we did it before with sterile insects. It takes a lot of them, depending on how widespread it gets. So that's a process to push that out. You're not just going to eradicate it and push it away. It takes time. So our goal is to stop it from moving to other states and influencing the entire industry. I think we can do that safely with the right regulations, but I don't anticipate tons of them. But that could change by next week. So JJ and I will talk about it. And we haven't had time. I've been gone. We have state fair, but I don't go to sleep without coming up with a new plan in my head. I've got plans for the rodeo, but at this point, we're not going to change a whole lot of rules and regs because I trust the protocol that's in place for animal movements coming out of infected states, if that makes sense. Because like I said, we're dealing with a parasite, right? We're not dealing with a communicable infectious disease. So that's kind of where it's at. There's a lot more I could give you 30 minutes on the whole screw room, explain how it works, but I'll just ask if there's any questions or anybody got concerns.
It's not related to veterinary medicine. I want to add one thing in that happened yesterday. So you guys are aware that Canada closed live animal imports in Texas. They probably will New Mexico.
Yep, and Mexico did, but
I got a letter yesterday from Alberta. They want me to go up there next month. You guys may or may not be aware, I know Blaine is, that they're our number one export state, our export nation, Canada. That's live animals as well, live cattle. We export more live cattle to Canada than anywhere else. So I'm going to go up there that second week of July and make sure that we can continue to work on, we're safe. We're going to continue to export our stuff to Canada. And so we're working on it. We're committed to making sure. And Pete and I have talked about South Point and events in Las Vegas. And that's our concern. That's a 24/7 town and a 24/7 venue. And how those horses and how that's stocked and what it's going to look like. That's our major concern right now. It's not so much cattle we're going to be receiving or sheep we're going to be receiving. Dogs are obviously a problem that we're going to have to work on. That's how they got into New Mexico. Dogs. The border's not paying attention to dogs, guys. It's closed to livestock. These guys are going back and forth every month to visit family in Mexico. They're hauling their dog down and they're hauling their dog back. Not get checked at the border.
So how are they carrying larvae?
Yeah, they'll have a wound that's infested and not examined or treated, and then they'll show. But on that note, I just want to make, being the way that it is a larva and it is a parasite, it's on an animal. If we happen to have cases in Nevada, we're going to do the epi work and figure out why. But I can tell you, it's probably at this point going to be an animal movement. I don't think it's going to be a cow, horse, sheep, or goat. I think it's going to be a dog or cat. Our vets have been pretty good. We put the word out. We get quite a few samples sent to us, and we refer those out to the national lab. Haven't had one yet. We could have one of those. Does that mean Nevada's got screwworm? As far as I'm concerned, a state vet, no. It means we're going to deal with that locally. We're going to have to say we've got screwworm, but that does not mean we've got a breeding population or an infestation in our state at that point. So there's protocols how to deal with that. But there's a likelihood. And I hate to say it, being a livestock guy, but dogs and cats and movements are kind of on the top of my list of what's appropriate. It's shelter animals. These shelters move animals a lot, and they do not do the right thing when they do it. And a lot of them come out of the Gulf states like that. So they concern me, but that does not mean it'll establish a population of breeding animals, flies, in the state of Nevada. But there's a likelihood if we see one from a veterinarian, it's going to be a route like that. But we can handle that, no problem. So
Pete mentioned the sterile flies, and I'm in close contact with the largest veterinary practice in Lee County, New Mexico, which is where this case in New Mexico is. I talked to him this morning, that owner. They released 1.5 million flies yesterday in Lee County, trying to make sure that dog that had it, we don't establish a breeding population of flies in New Mexico. So they're trying. They're going around with pickups and scattering it out. I know there's 2 more presumptive cases that were submitted yesterday, again, out of dog zone, out of that state and out of that county.
But none of those animals are
sterile flies. So that's how we pushed it down through the gap the first time we got it. I don't know, into Central America. Was the sterile flies. Like that's
it's
the
really
only way we beat it the first time. So they'll reproduce and then they die. Well, the sterile fly, that population dies off. So we're actually radiating flies to make them sterile. And then you scatter those. And Moore Air Base in Texas is going to be the new one to get us stood up and going. The problem is we're behind.
We're behind.
The ball. We're way behind. We need 6 to 8 million flies a day right now. We're not producing. That plant can't come on soon enough for us to get these flies into Texas, into New Mexico, push it back into Old Mexico, and then continue to help Old Mexico.
We got to keep pushing it.
Push it back to Central America. It was south of the Panama Canal. It was over the day we lost containment there. We knew Mexico couldn't hold it. Here it is.
Yeah, so it's going to take a lot of flies.
I could probably help with fly production. I'm going to say it is completely inappropriate, but I said it a few years ago.
Well, the interesting
it's an oxymoron. You have a sterile fruit fly.
But the reason it works, it's interesting fact, is that the females only mate once. That's how this works. Females in their life cycle only mate once, so that's why this actually can work. If you get the sterile males out there, so.
And so they dye these flies as well. So we know, USDA knows when you get those, they're green.
Yeah.
Do we have any jurisdiction over the pets, the cats and dogs? State that is.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, our regs have been lax for 150 years on dogs and cats. Matter of bandwidth as well. We don't permit them. They'll send the health paper in. We'll get it. There's some clinics in Alaska are really good about sending their small animal CVIs in. The rest of them, we don't know.
They are because they go through Canada. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
So what is the regulation about like use dog Texas? You're not supposed to bring your dog without
a rabies vaccine.
Yeah, so most states just require a CVI or health paper on dogs. How many people travel with their dog in their car and actually get a health certificate if you're going to go from here to Idaho for the summer?
Right? In Twin Falls and back. Broke the law.
Throw the dogs in the pickup.
Well, that's where I line of thinking. Say you're down on the Utah border, like Tom, whatever. Not very hard to pack your dog back and forth.
That's what Pete and I think about at night, and sometimes at midnight there's text messages going back and forth. What the hell are we gonna do now?
You don't want screwworm. I lived through it when I was kid, early 70s, late 60s. It's something that you don't want to do. You can start getting screwworms ever brand, ever earmarked, ever where you castrated. It's awful.
The good thing about us in the north is it won't survive under 40 degrees. So it died yesterday morning. We're good. We bought another couple of weeks.
You got frost on your window, you're safe.
Just-
Pete, I think you mentioned preventive treatment. What is that?
So a lot of drugs we have in the States have not been labeled for use with New World screwworm, but between pressure from us and the USDA, the FDA has given some conditional use and other permits to make these drugs not labeled, but we can use them for that. So we're talking about like normal cattle dewormers of any parasitics, like Dectomax C1A has been approved for screwworm. There's some, you got to think about it another way too. Do you want to treat every animal that does not have a lesion on it to move it and use the wealth of these drugs up for something that maybe they didn't need? But I can tell you, if cattle were coming out of the infested zone of Texas and I gave them a permit, they would have 2 inspections within a certain period of time as set on paper, and they'd have a treatment before they could come. So they would be given Dectomax within a window of time that is acceptable, and it's all laid out on the sheet that I would get from Texas for that shipment of cattle. Every animal will be ID'd officially, so we'd know. And then I would have to give the approval, as so would Dr. Dinges in Texas. He'd have to give the approval to release that quarantine. I'd have to accept those animals. They'd move on that and a health paper. So that's what the treatment. I mean, there's treatment, and then there's preventative for a movement. If you want to treat a bunch of animals before you move them.
And I guess that's key and something we should bring up. We talk about the sterile flies. That's how we got it last time. We didn't have these products.
Yeah.
In the 60s and early 70s. We have them now. And while they're not labeled for New World screwworm, the FDA is granting that authority. We have more tools now than we had before. So Pete can do that. He can say, yes, send them. We're going to treat them twice with Dectomax. I will tell you that K-Tron is a very effective tool, a spray that we use when you're branding, when you're dehorning, when you're doing any of that. I defy you to order a case of K-Tron today. Can't find it.
Well, and the USDA is stockpiling some of these drugs that if we had a problem, I can call the stockpile. Hopefully we won't be so far down the list. But the majority of these really helpful drugs are coming out of Central America because that's where they've been licensed and labeled. So they're trying to get them, but they still need them, right? Because they are endemic for this disease. So, but there's plenty of stuff we have, tools. It's treatable. It's not that it's going to kill these animals. I mean, yeah, young day-old calves and umbilical lesion that gets it, that'll hurt you, but it's labor intensive and it's cost expensive to treat it.
Don't be afraid to say something.
Yeah.
You gotta call Dr. Shane when you got something that doesn't look right. You gotta call Pete. You gotta call me. You gotta call somebody. Don't put your head in the sand and be, oh my God, I don't want to be the guy with New World screwworm.
Yeah.
We gotta get ahead of it. It will kill the animal and it will establish if we let it get ahead of us.
We focus a lot on the products that are available for cattle, but dogs and cats, a lot of medications are used for the day-to-day control of fleas and ticks that are mud products.
Yep.
Those chewable, those have been provisionally approved
Yep.
too. So, and even in our pet population,
Yeah.
it is easily controlled.
Yep.
So if you don't know if your dog has it, you're not going to look at its stinky ear and see if there's larvae in there, so they can be treated.
But that's what Pete talks about.
Yeah.
The shelter pets is where we have the problem.
Yeah, 'cause they-
That preventative stuff, these groups are moving around. And they show up in there.
Yeah. We'd rather look at 1,000 maggots than miss the one. So,
Right.
because like I said, if let's say a dog in Lyon County gets it, I'm not going to panic, but we'll have to do stuff. We're going to have a control area. We're going to start surveilling. We're going to do all what we need to do, but it's not going to tell me that that's it. We've lost the battle. So,
Well, this time of year is when a lot of pet owners get, their dogs get hot spots.
Mhm.
And there'll
Yep.
be 1,000 maggots on it.
Yep.
First thing they're gonna think of now, my dog got screw.
and that happened to us just the other
We
day.
had the
So
call
I
last
took care of that, and I'll talk to Dr. Schenk about that later. But anyways, so that happens, but it's not a problem. We just want to be notified, and we have a really good entomologist. And honestly, depending on the history I'm given for the case, I may not send those off to the national lab, but I darn right don't hesitate to. But Bryant has no problem looking at it for me. So.
I hate to be so dumb, but does the screw room look any different than the maggot that we get on a cow?
A little bit. The differences have to be looked at under a dissecting microscope to see. Once you've seen it, you still don't know what it is. They can look similar to a lot of our other blowfly maggots, normal non-flesh eating blowfly maggots.
So the larva, the fly makes the larva, and the larva goes to the maggot.
The female fly lays eggs on the wound. She's drawn to the blood for the wound. She lays her eggs. Those then come out as larvae, 3 stages on the animal, and they're the ones that eat the tissue. They fall off, burrow in the ground, and they pupate, and then you have another adult fly. So
The key is screwworm eats fresh living tissue, not dead tissue like your average maggot that you're thinking. They will travel up an umbilicus to kill an animal. So that's a little bit of the difference, and they move fast.
Yeah, you won't see it. If you look at a wound that's been screwworm infested, you won't, just to look at it, just looks like a bloody mass until you dump KRS on it. And then they come boiling out of there like, and they're about the size of the head of that pin. It's tapered on both ends. Yes, it does. How much one?
We should save this conversation.
Smell of you.
Just a quick note, JJ, you mentioned our trade relationship with Canada. Last year, that export value from Nevada was over $30 million in live animal exports. So that's a pretty important industry for us.
We're going to protect that.
So you say the freezing temperature will kill the fly or the larva?
so the larva will fall off of the animal and burrow in the ground. And if the soil temperature is anything below 45-ish, I think maybe even a little warmer, it will not turn into an adult fly in the soil. It has to do that. So
does every fly? Sorry,
that's it.
Like the regular maggots you get from Doc and Cab, Brandon Cab, whatever. Those maggots have to burn on the ground.
I don't know about how every other standard blowfly, their life cycle.
They can hatch in
Dead
material.
I think so. Yeah, the screwworm's life cycle specific to the screwworm. Yeah, it's got a couple of stages. So that's why it typically doesn't breach a certain latitude, right? Because the temperatures just won't sustain it to where you'll get established a population of breeding flies.
Roughly, however, our growing season has changed by a month or so from the last time we had it. Have they updated those latitudes?
Well, that was a big discussion the last couple of days. We were talking to the USDA if they've done any modeling. How far north would this thing go because of climate change? And as the USDA always tells us, oh yeah, we're working on it. So no, I would think with the way things have changed, there is a bigger threat to some of those more northern states, if it does go rampant, because we probably have the environmental conditions to establish that population further north than probably in the 50s and 60s and 70s. So there's that consideration, but not something we can easily change.
Then there's always the human spread. There was a case that came out of Central America.
Yeah.
End up in New York or something.
Yep. Yeah. And that was, so I've been talking to public health with that as well. I said,
If you feel something kind of itchy, you better get it checked
because
out.
I can tell you, most physicians don't go looking, right? And so then we're 5 days behind it. So
How did you not know?
Oh, same thing.
Some people show me. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know, it's like I make a government comment.
No, let's just move on. Don't let me go there.
Don't take me wrong. I'm sure it's real.
I know. I wasn't gonna wear that mask.
You never let it.
Thank you.
sorry. I ran Doug off. His watch probably ran out of time because he always times me.
So I do want to let you guys know Doug's gonna go down. He's gonna do a briefing with security and start setting up some security stuff here for the fair. So as you guys know, we're not in the best part of town, and when you have a carnival, you can attract individuals you don't want. So they're going down. We have Nevada State Police, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, our own officers, and the game unit. So they're going down slowly.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, we're full of questions today. Are you prepared for questions?
I am.
Well, one thing before Kathy starts, because I know she's been working on this as well. I did update you guys at the last board meeting. We were going to pursue a new division of food safety. That was given the green light, and Kathy will have that uploaded the executive budget system. And so we will go to the next legislative session looking to treat the 16 food safety. Because right now it's in Chad's. And you can tell when we're talking screwworm and maggots, we don't like to talk cheeseburger. Separate them.
All right. For the record, Kathy Balkin, Administrator of Administrative Services. So you have the board report. I'm just going to go over some high level and then get to 2 budget accounts really quick to go over. So partnership activities, we have the Nevada Craft Beverage Passport Program in partnership with the SBDC and Travel Nevada. 17 passports submitted for prizes this year, and 5 passports have completed all 50 locations. Some program updates. Attended the National Confectioners Association Sweets and Snacks Expo in Las Vegas in May and coordinated programming with USDA, who brought in 70 buyers from 20 different countries. And then the educational and promotional materials, our summer food service program, outreach and materials and public communications. And then year to date, we've had 32 public records requests have been received in 2026, and 26 of them have been processed. And then moving on to some fiscal stuff. So continued work with the budget build for the 28-29 biennium, and then we are working on closing the FY26 fiscal year. We are set to close every single budget account again in the positive, so we are working on that, and then in July we'll open the new fiscal year for 27. Okay. Thanks, Julie. All right, I'm gonna go over, you could blow it up. All right, I'm going to go over 1362 and 2691, and these are Administrator Hoppy's budget accounts for the Food and Nutrition Division. So budget account 1362, the Commodity Food Program. So Commodity Food Program has Senior Farmers Market, Emergency Food Assistance Program, the food distribution on Indian reservations, and commodity supplemental food programs. So I will tell you, these 2 budget accounts are our biggest in our agency. So they cover about 80% of our entire budget. So as you can see with some of the budget in 1362, as Brooke talked about earlier, this is our TFAP. So we have a budget of about close to $1 million in that one. For the Dipper, which is the food on Indian reservations, we have quite a good budget for that one at $400,000. And then some of our, this is also a little bit of fee-based with shipping and handling charges of about $950,000. That's in revenue. And then next one, some quick expenditures here. So personnel, they do pay about 1,600,000 in this account. And then in that food processing program as well, about 22 million. So, and then going on to budget account 2691. Now this is the big one. So this has the state administrative expense, which we refer to as SAE, and then all the school breakfast and lunch programs. So those are our big ones that you'll see in revenue for those. 46 million, 13 million, 138 million in revenue for our budget. And then some of the expenditures, this is what we pay out for all of the school districts in the schools. And we're at 100. I mean, last year we hit 176 million in that national school lunch program. And with that, I will take questions if anybody has any.
Questions for Kathy?
Ooh, that was easy.
I'm gonna just go back because I forgot, and I apologize, I had it in my notes. I do want to note that I went to the food bank in Northern Nevada's opening of their Elko Food Hub last week. That's amazing to see that up there. And that will serve 4 counties. There are 19 of them. And that was a grant from us, a little over $3 million.
Okay. Move on to food and nutrition.
What a segue.
Wow, this is perfect.
Phenomenal. Good morning. For the record, Patricia Hoppy, Administrator of Division of Food and Nutrition. Fortunately, I do not have anything near as riveting as the screwworm, and I'm really happy about that. I'll just hit a few highlights in our report. As both Brooke and Kathy mentioned, Summer Food Service Program has started. It's one of our flagship programs. It started in Southern Nevada in May. This week in Northern Nevada, it feeds any children, no questions asked, 18 and younger. Another flagship program that's seasonal is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, and that's a program that's in 1362 budget that you just saw. That started in May, and this is where eligible seniors get coupons to use at farmers markets. On the second page of our report, the ARPA funding that we have, the Nevada Community Food Access Grant, I just want to point out that we anticipate that we will be on target to spend the remaining funds that we have of about $551,000 by 9/30 by the due date. And last but not least, Home Feeds Nevada, we anticipate if the two food banks are ready, that we will start that program up after July 1st. And so we're working with all of our producers, getting updates on all of their requirements, such as their producer livestock numbers, their vendor numbers, and their UEI to make sure that they are all ready to go with that program. That's the end of my report.
Very good, thank you. Questions?
Roughly what's your budget on that?
We have the 800,000 that we received from Ledge last year, and we were able to true that up and move it forward. Kathy's did that for us, and so we'll be starting with that 800,000.
Historically, what we've done, we spent $4 million in 23 on that. We know we can spend a lot more. We had leveraged federal money and a couple $1 million that we had from the state to get that done. The rules changed.
They did.
On the federal side. We can't use that money for it. We swept all that money away from us for that program. And the legislature only gave us 800,000 this time for the biennium. And so with the influx that we put in during the government shutdown of ARPA money, we talked to our food banks, and they elected to roll it to the next fiscal year, which is why we're going to start after July 1st for that 800,000. If we have the money, we spend $2 to $4 million easily a year.
The good news about that I would add is that we are in harvest season. So we will be able to serve our small producers, which we've always tried to support them most to buy fresh produce. So we will be able to do that starting at that time of the year.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. We can take a break at this time. Let's come back here in 10 minutes.
Right here on the same source, just go down this hallway. Behind the American flag.
You were like food safety.
You'll have to go up and down the stairs.
So I teach the overall recovery first, I don't teach the. It's already done. You know, it's got a little better on your bits and pieces, but it's okay. I explained that transmission. So if they are asking me a question, I don't answer it, don't get that. Yeah. All right. I did what I could. Oh, yeah, I know you did.
Moving on to division management standards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Bill Strajewski. As Patricia said, nothing too exciting in my remarks, and they will be brief. I want to just touch on a couple of things from my report. With the annual device licensing, I had mentioned that we have been sending out sort of a pre-warning that invoices would be coming. And I wanted to just emphasize a little bit about that. This is the third year that we're sending out these emails and letters. It came from actually a project. One of my people was in the Certified Public Manager program, and this was his project, and it's been super successful. We refine the process each year a little bit, and so now we're down to a really manageable number of businesses who have changed names, changed ownership, changed addresses, and getting those all aligned before we send out the invoices on July 1st. Really helpful. Livestock inspections started on schedule the week of Memorial Day, and so far we're off to a promising start in both offices. We are fully staffed, actually more than fully staffed, because we have one seasonal each working out of both the Sparks office and the Elko office. That helps with scheduling everyone, keeping everyone a little bit happier being out out on the road all week. So we're hoping that continues. Got some news about not our metrology lab itself, but But as I've mentioned in the past, our metrology lab is assessed by both the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and also they are one of only 19 state labs in the country that is NAVLAP certified or accredited. What this means is that they are assessed by both of these organizations each year and spend about a month each preparing for these, getting files, folders, charts, all this documentation ready and submitted to those organizations. Now, I knew that NIST and NAVLAP kind of work together, but what I didn't realize is they're actually pretty much down the hall from each other. And one of them went to the other and said, how's about if a lab is NAVLAP certified, will NIST just accept their documentation? And they have made that agreement. And so, you know, on-site assessments will continue from both groups, but this will free up the lab, you know, about a month of time to do the work that we want them to do. So that's certainly a big plus for everyone concerned. And then finally, you know, Mackenzie had spoken about fuel prices, et cetera. And, you know, I mentioned this in March, but, you know, again, we are continuing to receive, you know, a real increase in the number of complaints based on price and signage. And in fact, I looked back and it's double the number for this time, this fiscal year compared to last fiscal year. We've also been able to act on those again because of the rulemaking that we did last legislative session that closed some loopholes and gave us some more power. And so, you know, we can't bring the prices down, but we can at least, you know, help where we can. So, and that's all I have, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Question.
Probably my fault, but was there very much notice this year of when they were coming to do scales? I did not have mine prepared the way I wanted them prepared the other day. I don't know.
My understanding is that we did give enough notice, but you know, let me check and see. They did hear that from a couple of ranches, and but I don't entirely recall what the circumstance was.
A lot of email and this year I've been a little lax.
Well,
Other priorities, I guess, but the other day, my work guy said, "Oh, scale guy was here to town." I said, "Really? They pay anything? No, they didn't pay." Well, that must be a good thing. I run down scale. We get grass growing and stuff a little bit over the scales.
Well,
the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I knew there was coming to
we have tried to minimize and eliminate those, but if we did not, then what name ranch? I'm sorry. Oh, Paris. Okay, that's easy enough. All right, I'll go see who to yell at.
It don't matter. I just wondered if they've been sending them. More than likely it's my side, not not your side. I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, I think we were on the same schedule that we have been.
Well, that because I did get an email, and so I did get a hold of Brandon because I wasn't sure if they were going to catch Newark on jigs or if they were going to do them on Eureka. That came out quite a while ago, probably a month or so ago, maybe even more. Because I didn't know if he was going to be home.
Was it maybe too early?
No, it was great because I got lots of time to do it.
How does consumer know to call you? I see those stickers. Is it on there?
They're both web address and phone number. Yes. And you know, if you go to the department website, there's actually a fillable form on there that, you know, that you can fill it online. You can download the form and then fill it on your own.
So
and
all all those calls you get, how many do you check and how many are legit?
Well, we check all of them. You know what, I would say about 20% of it, I mean, through all categories, probably 25% of them end up being legit.
Do you get fined or what? Do you get notice violation?
It depends on what it is. I mean, there's a bit of a process to get to the point where we're finding stations, and depending on what the violation is, the station may not even, or the business may not even be aware of it. Since, if it's, in the case of gas stations, pumps are mechanical devices. They take the summer, they take the winter, and they will come out of alignment. So, but yes, yeah, we try, and also Sierra and her crew are very good about pushing out information over various social media platforms to who to contact. So we're trying to make it pretty available.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good, kids, you brought it up. I'll mention briefly the Fuel Resiliency Committee. I lean heavily on Vernon and Bill. And Bill, you want to make your announcement about Vernon as well? I think that's critical.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't become critical, but yes, unfortunately, as some of you who have been on and around the board for a while know, I came out of managing the petroleum program before I was an administrator, and actually brought back my predecessor to take over for me. And unfortunately, he had a situation with his family, and he will be retiring and moving out of state at the beginning of July. So that position will be open, and I guess for good or ill, JJ will have to rely on my expertise again, at least for the short term. So, but I have known Vernon for a very long time, and respect him and trust him, and could really rely on him. And so, yeah, this is a big loss.
I bring that up because I lean on both these guys on that committee. When these technical questions come up, I serve on that committee as the department's appointee for that fuel resiliency. And we're aware, and as McKinsey alluded to, we are very dependent on California fuel up here, especially in this area. We do have the UNEV pipeline that goes to Apex down south, and that does help with Las Vegas. Obviously the eastern side of the state, Elko, White Pine, Eureka, we get a lot more fuel out of Utah. And I will just tell you, it's not a surprise. We talked about it in meetings over and over. There's a couple of things in the works. One is bringing fuel from the Midwest into Phoenix, reversing the flow of that Kinder Morgan pipeline down there and sending fuel instead of California to Phoenix. It would go Phoenix to California and then back to us. So we would burn Midwest fuel instead of just all California fuel and infrastructure's in the ground. So it makes sense until you have a fire or an earthquake and they shut the power off in California and you still can't get the fuel out of California. It's stuck in Phoenix. And then the other thing we're looking at is Wyoming, Utah, the fuel that does come across there. I think it makes complete sense to feed the state through an additional pipeline that could come from that. So we're looking at it. It takes time. Glad that the administration and the team that Governor Barton has together is looking at it now. So we're not having this conversation again in 5 years. We'll move on it, but we'll get through it. But it's not going to be a quick switch. But we're well aware we've got to start sourcing fuel somewhere else. The federal government has granted a lot of waivers. So I talked to these guys. We're good to go, right? So we're burning a different fuel right now in Truckee Meadows than we would have to.
Slightly different.
But which, it all helps. I mean, any fuel we can source will help. And I will tell you, Pete, when I go home, I pack gas cans back.
I see that.
Full.
I got my gear to make it back to Battle Mountain. That's another question. Why, like yesterday, Battle Mountain was 10 cents cheaper than Elko?
A lot of it's taxes.
It must be, or how can they ship food to Battle Mountain? Does Elko have actually, I'm not surprised at that. They have 10 cents more tax than Lander County.
Remember Elko County, did put that enabling 5-cent tax on diesel. When that became possible, Elko County did that to try to grab that truck. 5 cents, but if you're running the diesel, you're paying for it. Whether you're a trucker, you're just a pickup.
And Windover, Elko County, like last year, Windover is Battle Mountain at the same price for fuel. And 12 is better than Elko. And Elko is like nice. Yeah.
We dance between raindrops a
You
lot.
need to fill your gas cans at Battle Mountain.
I'm not driving down 80 just to save 5 cents.
And the Vasco thing.
I know. I'm gonna burn $100 in fuel to save $20 at Battle Mountain.
Okay, anything else? Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Plant Health,
Ray Saliga, Acting Administrator, Division of Plant Health and Compliance. Regarding hemp, the department adopted LCB file number R188-24. This updates NAC 557 to align state and federal hemp definitions. This is for on-farm hemp production to certify it to leave the farm and enter market. So it's definitional changes. We don't expect any impact to Nevada growers with it. Regarding red imported fire ant, USDA APHIS is in the process of deregulating imported fire ant at a federal level. Quarantines at the federal level have been in place for decades with red imported fire ant. The goal is to stop the natural spread of red imported fire ant, reduce the unnatural spread of red imported fire ant across states. With the elimination of the federal quarantine on it, we will lose federal funding. This has supported eradication or detection, elimination, and eradication in the state. We have successfully, as a department, detected and eliminated red imported fire ant on a number of occasions in the last 2 decades, and it's our intent to continue to do so. We will need to investigate funding mechanisms as well as consider regulations at the state level to maintain our REFA-free status in Nevada. This year, Mormon cricket, they're on the downswing through our surveillance across the state. We continue to maintain a public reporting form on our website. We've been receiving reports across the state, but we do see declining levels this year. We don't expect any outbreaks through the remainder of the year. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We'll continue to survey, take reports, and please, if you are seeing crickets, direct them to our entomology team, or you can drop a map on the live map on our website. Oregon's restored funding for their Japanese beetle control program. This was a fast-moving issue here this year, but we do, as a state, import lots of nursery products from Oregon. Japanese beetle is an impactful pest that really does pose a large industry, urban areas, and our native areas in Nevada. So in working with our board member, an Oregon Department of Ag came up with some mitigation plans to maintain the flow of business. And Oregon was able to restore funding for their survey and treatment program. So we will continue to be able to accept shipments as we have in the past.
Moving on to our plant pathology lab. Our lab has received accreditation through the National Plant Diagnostics Network. It's only the third lab in the country to receive this accreditation. This enables our pathologist and his team to make determinations on plant diseases, on a number of plant diseases, and allow us to rapidly respond to industry when they see issues. In addition, they've successfully passed certification for proficiency testing for a number of molecular methods to analyze for regulated diseases. These are critical techniques for detecting plant diseases, including sudden oak death, that's Phytophthora ramorum, citrus greening disease, and over 24 others. So we have inspectors in the field. We'll continue to detect and survey for damaging pests. Our noxious weeds team has quadrupled surveyed acres since the last fiscal year this year. We've surveyed 933 acres in response to reports as well as through department-initiated surveys for noxious weeds, and are working with 75 landowners to control infestations of noxious weeds. We hosted a Nevada Biocontrol Strategic Meeting in Ely in May on the 12th and the 13th. This included state partners, federal partners of BLM, Forest Service, USDA APHIS, as well as from Utah. We discussed our current biological control efforts for noxious weeds and began to frame a discussion for the development of a state biocontrol program. We would like to come up with a strategic document to really formalize how we do biocontrols in Nevada for noxious weeds. These have a potential to be a low-cost, effective tool in controlling noxious weeds, but they're very species and site dependent. It's a living organism. To be effective, it needs to establish. So we have to pair the biological control with the weeds. When it does establish and it is effective, you can see any sort of effect from reduced seed production. So you're reducing your seed bank over time, or reducing the range of expansion of the noxious weed, maybe in an area you can't get to, or all the way to complete control. So this is a really interesting aspect we can use. We can release a bug, it'll breed itself, it'll continue to work without us having to put boots on the ground. We have biocontrols available through federal partners to local agencies, conservation districts, weed management districts, and we really need to build that last step connection to bring these biological controls to the fields where they're needed. And then I'll wrap up with drought. As of May 12th, 76% of Nevada is in drought. That's grade D1 or higher. The drought working group met on May 12th and activated the strategic drought response plan, as 10 Nevada counties have more than 50% of their area in drought. The Drought Response Committee, which is comprised of the state climatologist, Division of Water Resources, and the Office of Emergency Management, are soliciting drought impact reports on a monthly basis for as long as the state remains over 50% in drought. The NDA submitted 12 of the 13 condition monitor and observed reporting reports, and we'll continue to make reports, keep the state climate monitor updated, and we'll work with USDA, FSA, Livestock Forage Disaster Program. Confirmed it will provide compensation for livestock losses due to smoke inhalation. The next drought working group meeting is scheduled for July. Any questions?
Question for Ray? Yes, David?
One, we had mentioned noxious weeds. There was
We're actively working with stakeholders in Washoe Valley. We had a workshop last week on the ground at the park doing hands-on identification, discussing control strategies, and working with landowners. So we're in active communication where it's detected. We will respond to any requests or assistance. If somebody wants us to come out and take a look, we're happy to. And we will protect that private data. We're happy to take reports on EdMaps and add it to our whole reporting system. But if you just want somebody to come out and observe your property and help you develop a management plan, we're also happy to do that.
Second, you would say you're working with administrator. It's available, it seems like, as far as for paying. So are we working? Enforcement here, or is mining able to take more water?
Well, with our drought monitoring group is specific to monitoring drought levels, soil moisture, snowpack, reservoir levels, and providing data and reports to industry so they can gauge and understand what the outlook is, as well as providing reports to the state climatologist for to educate any sort of outreach assistance or future plans. Or collecting the data.
The potential for data centers going in the middle of the state out there. Centers. Oh my goodness. Tens of thousands of gallons a day. So. Data centers going.
Yeah, water use is a concern. Data centers are a concern. We'll continue to provide comment, work with our federal and local partners to represent agriculture and our water needs.
So I'll add a little bit in there if I can, Mr. Chair. Director Goyke for the record. So on a couple of things, Dave, you mentioned the mining, and that's Humboldt River Basin specific case was. Obviously, there was a proposed plan, a conjunctive management plan and a curtailment that some folks saw, I guess some folks didn't see in regards to that. And as far as it comes this year, when I mentioned Lovelock getting 3 inches of water, that's what we call a futile call. It doesn't matter. The water didn't deliver. It didn't come down the creek. And that, you may or may not be aware, the amount of water that Lovelock gets and everybody downstream gets is based on the decree, and that is the water that is flowing in Palisades. That's all upstream from the majority of the mines and from Winnemucca, where we have losing reaches of that river. So whatever is flowing in Palisade, which is in Eureka County, just outside Hardin, that's how you get your water to sit, and that's the way it will sit forever. And so they were going to get this year because it didn't flow. Pine Creek didn't flow, North Fork didn't flow, South Fork didn't flow, where they normally flow. I will tell you that I am working closely with DCNR and the new water engineer to do exactly what you're talking about. Protect agriculture and make sure whatever we do, all the stakeholders are at the table. Joe, the new engineer, is committed to that. He wants everybody there. He understands that there's huge problems. So how are we going to fix it? What are we going to do? And that means that everybody from Lovelock to a rancher on Willow Creek and Jigs is going to have a say and can be able to put their input in. So hopefully they'll be a better product. We can't wait. I can be telling that the longer we wait, we'll get the ground. On the data centers, it's really been in the news, especially down on this side of the state. A little bit more water down here in the central part. Most of those basins are designated. Some as critical management areas. They're not going to build there, so water isn't there. And so they never get it. The other side of that is, I don't think you'd ever see a NEPA document for transfer of land down there. right? That's a private. Higby, you own 1,200 acres, 4 acre feet on that 1,200, but I don't want you to sell it to somewhere. But it cuts both ways. That's the only way they'd be able to build in there. In the central part of the state, you'll never see the water right today. That we're going for that. So it's just not there.
What about stock water?
So that model, and that was part of the problem. Pete's talking about, again, the Humboldt River and that flow system. And there was some modeling that came out. And they said, all right, according to this model, we're going to study, if you want to do a stock water and you're in the Humboldt River Basin, we're going to have to model that well and make sure it's not going to have any impact on flow to the river that would eventually go by Palisades and get the Rye Patch. It's the de minimis use that stock water is. No matter how much water you put down a lot of one of those stock waters, you're not going to impact retrograde in agriculture. So this is the other side of the equation. Stock water guys need water too. And so I can't tell people, you know, I'm not going to be able to grow stock water for you sheep guys or you cow guys because every little straw we put in the ground is going to impact low. But we know that it wasn't going to intercept any flows. So that model, you guys know, everybody knows, and I'm looking at my scientist guys over here. A model's only as good as the data you put in, and you can put data in and you can make that model fit anything out you want. You know? And that's the problem. But I think I'm going to pivot just a little bit. NRCS has a position advertised for an engineer in Elko right now. That's been part of the problem. We need our partners at the federal level on NRCS to help producers get these designed and go to the engineer with, here's my plan, this is what water is going to do, and they can help us with that. That position's been taken for a long time. The Ramsey and NRCS has made that position open and hoping to get it filled, so we can go ahead and have them help you create a plan. This is where we're going to put the well, and they can model it to show them.
We went through that. We didn't have water.
Yeah. You got to have new, you had to apply for new water. Engineer, in my understanding, we don't deal with the engineer, you know, this is not in our shop, but there was some communication problems with the previous state water engineer. How he was that. All right, David, you don't have water, right? It's just, no, you can't do it. And I didn't separate the stock water guys. And there's been some major concerns with stock water in addition to mining. I hate to get off on a tangent. Under that engineer, it also came out, Pete, that I'll give you an example. A family ranching entity that was very close to you. The son owns all of the cows now. Some of the water rights are still in the parents' names. If the son wanted to go in and change that water or do something with it, it was denied. Because the parents owned the water right on the well, but the son owned all the cows, even though he was running on that ranch. Couldn't do it. So that was a problem. It didn't make any sense. And he was standing strict on it. And so that was a big problem.
Then we were told that to go buy water rights and find
Money.
$20,000. So more than the level of the bank, if they would even sell them.
So what you can do, like a year like this where you're in drought, and Ray talked about the drought monitor, you can actually roll with ice and you can get it temporary. You can drill a well and you can put it in and you got a year to try to bring that up. But do you want to put the money in? Because he can't deny you emergency stock water, ground water, stock water. You can get a T. And it'll have a T in front of that number for a year. Put your well in, put your pump down the ground, and hope you can get it sorted out with you in the next year. That's a gamble. And that's either buy water rights or convince him that there are water rights available. We'll follow up some more of these conversations. As no pun intended, as Joe gets his feet wet, the new state water engineer, and I told him this a month ago. I'm gonna be down there talking to you a lot, so he got some stuff we got. He's smart and he's a people person. He's not a water engineer, he's not a politician, he's a people person, which I think is good. And I think we can have these conversations. But he's in over his, right now, he's drowning, but yeah, but he's like, what the hell? Drowning with no water.
So whatever happened to the ability to put in, get those tanks that they dig up from service stations, 10, 20,000 gallon storage tanks. They gotta clean them before they take them to the dump. Why can't we put in there and get those tanks, set them up out on the ranges, all water in?
So that program, from what I understand and researching environment, was administered through NDEP, again at DCNR, Conservation Natural Resource. And it went away, the funding, if you will, that was allowing, that would allow them to be dug up, cleaned, assigned to a ranch. I will have a conversation, if you'll flag that for me, I'd have that conversation with Jennifer Carr, the administrator over there, and see if there's any chance of getting that back. Historically, we all were raised in communities that had underground fuel storage tanks and had to get changed. A lot of those have gone away now. There's not near as many of them as there used to be, and that's the other side. We all have those storage tanks on their ranges. Came from most service stations, but there's just not that many of them anymore, and the federal regulations are also a little more troublesome to work around.
I had that conversation with Vince too.
Yeah.
He's knowing, he's ready.
Okay.
I've teed it up.
I'm going to Jennifer first, then I'll go to Vince. I'm sure they're both ready. Okay.
Other question?
One more back to the week. Sorry.
I knew it was coming. I guess you look on your face.
The history of my frustration, I guess, the Elko County. I don't know what is wrong with Elko County, but the Scotch Thistle's taking over the county. BLM this year did not spray one weed in my area that they had contracts out for that. They spent all this money all these years, which wasn't enough. And now they didn't spend any, and the weed contract. They didn't even put it out this. So I jumped on the BLM, and they said we didn't have a staff to set up contracts. And I said, why did you send it out to my range comment?
We'll pick up more Tom.
Yeah. Well, he defended himself well. Because I just don't have time. Period. But they exploded. They were exploded. Now, hate to put it on you, but cannot the Nevada Department of Ag jump on the federal government to just at least bring it up?
Yeah, we'll have a conversation with the state office. I get a lot more done at the state level than I do the district office. So there's another place over
even to this day. I try to help in every way I can. You know what David Little personally, you can see that one. They house at our house. I furnish them with water. I do everything in their power to make them get more bang for their buck to get more weed spray basically in the county. Now they just they said we'd love to have that contract. It's a good contract. It's this, and it didn't even get put out. And they moved all the way in from California with their equipment, begging for work, and they won't give it. And the weeds this year, grass is burnt, everything else is burnt. You see some of the green oil. What is that you run over there? Watch this like alfalfa. I mean, driving crazy to watch it. And then some private property people, somehow private property people. And I understand I bragged on private property people too. We'll BLM stuff so many missiles that just how am I going to control? I can't. So they give up. Because the BLM gives up, but in the end, Scotch Thistle is something that I think is the most noxious weed there is. A lot of people don't get it. Yeah, like so you can. And it's ground underneath it in this. I don't know if it's BLM is 99% state highway, the Nevada State highway right of ways.
We are working with them on theirs again.
To be honest, now is my biggest frustration, why they would not. And we have an area that we sprayed last year, they threatened to take my permit, because they thought we sprayed weeds. It was private around the curls, but on the outside of the curl, I ain't exactly sure where the private property line would be. He come out there with his team, told me it was.
Follow up with we'll go to the state office, you and I next time. Well, we've had this conversation, but Tri-County does a good job south of that line. You get north of that line and it falls apart. Okay.
One individual that's against the person I do, he's like, how much money that makes. Like Belmont and that country, he don't do a good job. It started out to be just like now what I see here. Plus, whatever little bit of moisture is in the ground, there's something.
For an argument, sir.
You know,
You know, change the subject because I'm not going to argue.
I heard they installed a new director for our state.
It's what?
Did we get a new state director?
No, acting. Still just acting. And it's Justin Abernathy. He's been there. He was a deputy. And so he just started acting, and Kim Dow, who was in Carson, moved up to be his in an acting capacity in detail. They do the 120 day details. Right now, there's 5 Western state directors open. 5.
Anything else? Very good.
You have something, Lynn? I'll get him to go back to my report and you can shoehorn in. Mr. Chair, if we could go back to the director's report.
Why are we doing that?
Because I have a trade guy I would like to talk. Thank you.
Not really talking about trade at all, but just wanted to again thank JJ and the rest of the team, Sierra, Juliana, Monica, for all your hard work in getting this state fair put together. It's an exciting moment, and specifically wanted to highlight our farmers market, which will be starting tomorrow and Saturday. Tomorrow 4 to 8 p.m. and Saturday 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be in the big tent just outside of the state fair entrance out here, and we're having about 18 vendors there that are all made in Nevada, manufactured in Nevada type products, all the way from beef to honey to raw produce. So we're highlighting the best, and if you're traveling from a far distance and don't have space in your carry-on to take home, I invite you to come anyway, because I spent a lot of time sweeping underneath that tent the last couple of days. It'd be nice for someone to admire my hand sweeping work. So thank you guys for coming in. Yeah, we hope that you'll spend some time out here celebrating with us in a historical moment for Nevada.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Chair, while you're on my agenda item again, Dr. Shank, I got an update from the Vice Provost. Meeting passed unanimously.
Wow.
That's what you appreciate.
Okay, public comment, creative public comment.
This may make people question whether I'm a I would like to compliment you guys on taking on this challenge. The same thing is, as a government agency, presented with opportunities or work or something new, to say we're too busy, we don't have the staff, we need to concentrate on existing responsibilities. But from the director on down, seem willing to take on new things, challenges. So it's not necessarily the same thing. Because
What's our motto, Juliana?
Don't tolerate woe in a mud hole. Woe in a mud hole.
It was on the wall in their office for quite some time. That's what I tell them. We're in it deep, guys. We can't stop now. We just keep moving ahead. When this fair is over next week, I'm coming up with something else. I didn't say it was funny. I'm not a liar. I'm a lot of things, but a liar I am not. Then we'll come up with something else.
Going off of Tom's comment too, Reno Rodeo staff, just last couple days, they've been super awesome, very flexible to work with. Anything that I've asked for, they've been Johnny on the spot and helping us get that done. So really great partnership there. Great to have that moving forward for future years.
But you guys have a good team here. I mean, the staff at NDA, from Elko to Las Vegas to Sparks. I've been around this agency for 10 years. And I think we've probably got the best team put together we've ever had. And they just get it done. And that's why I know if I throw a stupid ass idea out there, that's where it can go. So, I'm lucky.
Add the Tom though is exactly how I feel government agencies should be. You people go above and beyond. And that's what the government should do. That's what the government in the past, when I was, and maybe even a little bit before my time as a kid, but they had CC programs and they had, that's what government is. That's what government, should be today. Just like the other day, I'm RangeCon, I don't have time to put out a contract. What does it take to put out a contract? I mean, I guess maybe more than I think. But it's just you guys do need to be committed.
Other public comment? Anybody?
No one on Microsoft Teams for public comment.
Okay, very good. Final roll call, everybody's still here, right? Okay, we're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.